Welcome to the City of Florissant Podcast, where we talk anything and everything related to the beautiful City of Florissant.
So, this is going to be a special podcast with our theater department, and our first one with our theater department.
And probably the last.
Oh boy,
And
I
probably
thought
the
we were
last.
restarting.
And actually, I'm fine starting like this on a really informal lead-in. It's the first time we've done that, and why not?
what the? Frick
Yeah,
did
good.
you
Tell
do?
not a very funny
tell the
person.
audience. Well, we're not very good at this.
We're trying.
Eh,
You'll see. We're doing very well. Anyway, let's get started. I'm Steve Wiersmueller, Director of IT and Media, and this is our theater staff. If you'd all introduce yourselves one at a time, because I don't remember your names.
if I must.
Kidding.
I'm Brian Paladin, the theater manager.
I'm Ryan Shaper. I'm the technical director.
And I'm Natalie Piacentini. I'm a theater supervisor.
I actually didn't know how to say your last name.
Well, it's
you know.
Italian. Piacentini.
I'm glad we have that on tape.
You got to do the hand movement.
They're very good.
Now you have
Yeah.
to learn how to spell it.
So what we wanted to accomplish today in this podcast is kind of just spin the wheels a little bit and see how it's going here with the theater department, because we want them to come in and talk about all their upcoming shows throughout the year. But we really wanted to come in here to thank them and show everyone how this new video podcast space came about.
Well, you're welcome, Steve. Thanks for having us.
So the first thing you'll see here is our before. Before, in the basement of our admin building here at 1055 St. Francis, we had a green screen room, and it was used for a couple decades by our cable station.
And if I recall, it had a green screen desk, and because there was a couch in here.
There was a lot of challenges with it. It served its purpose for many years. They did informational videos with the mayor and the chief, and it was mainly used in, I don't know, the 90s and early 2000s or so.
Well, I know my predecessor, Gary Gatos, used to come over and do On Cue here,
Yeah.
which was, I think, a longer
Yeah.
interview style.
So when you look at this old picture, yeah, there's a lot of challenges here, but you got to think this was really cable access shows that we were doing down here. It didn't have as big of an audience as we wanted, so the media department decided to branch out, and we knew we wanted to do something with this space. Our media manager, Steve Kinnison, said, let's reinvent it. Let's make it a new usable space that we can do podcasts and video podcasts in. So we started clearing it out. We tried to figure out how to raise the ceiling. Our public works department said, why don't you just get rid of the ceiling? So we decided to get rid of the ceiling and paint it. And then we started, this is where the theater department came in. We started having a hard time imagining what we would want the background to be, the backdrop to be for this. So that's when Brian volunteered, something I'm sure he doesn't regret.
Volunteered the whole department.
You know,
Yeah.
I was talking with
On behalf
Natalie
of
before we
everyone.
got down here. I've blocked out so much of what this was. With anything we do theater wise, you do it in the moment and then you forget about it.
Right.
So we had to do some recall to remember what this process was, because we started in December.
My first design was in
Yeah.
December.
December 21.
So if tell me if I'm getting this timeline right. Natalie basically drew it and imagined it. And then Ryan helped execute the 3D modeling of it. And then Brian helped with, okay, what kind of lumber and how are we going to execute this from a carpentry standpoint? And then all three of you came together to put that into one. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when we kind of got into the idea phase of it, Natalie definitely took the reins and kind of did the conceptualizing of what the back wall would look like. At which point, when she came in and could give that to Ryan, he came in and actually did a scan of the room and dropped that into a 3D environment. And then he was able to take her ideas, drop it into a virtual setting, and then we could actually walk in this room, hold an iPad up, turn around, and actually see it in real time to visualize what it would look like. And
Yeah, and that allowed us to look at a couple different design options in real 3D space, in augmented reality, and pick which one would work best.
Yeah, and even before we got to that point, we had gone through different incarnations of what this was going to look like. So developing the design for it was really like, we're in a basement. How do we want to get people to not feel like they're in a basement?
Right.
And there are so many things to consider from a design aspect. And originally, it was a smaller wave, more condensed, horizontal, shiplappy kind of wood.
Right.
And then once we came in here, we saw that we had a lot longer of a space to deal with, really developed the wave idea into the sound wave, which was it made a lot of sense for a podcast studio. And then still using the natural elements of the wood to be able to get to a certain point of making people feel comfortable, but
Whose
and getting
idea
people to talk.
was the sound wave?
That
you
was
guys
mine.
remember? That
That was Natalie. I think one of the things that we kind of struggled with in the beginning before we kind of, once we finally measured it out, was realizing, the wall behind us, I think is 20, is it 22? Is it 20 feet? So it's 20 feet, and then on the far side of that, there's another 3 till you hit the wall. So really trying to figure out how to work that in with cameras being in view to really pull that in. And I think, Natalie knocked it out of the park.
Well, and giving us the center of focal point, but also being able to make it not boring if the cameras were looking at another angle or whatever like that. So really having to see how the space was going to be used and then developing the design in order to make it make sense. And then when Ryan came in, not only was he developing the drawings for the construction drawings, but he also came in and did all of the lighting ideas and really took that to the next level, which was just an incredible addition to the design.
Sure. And that's where using our 3D programming environment really helped, because not only could I render it in 3D, but I could also drop the cameras in and see the camera angles, drop the lenses in, see what their perspective was going to be, drop the lights in, and render the full thing with lights and camera and everything.
So we've got one of our media personnel off camera here. Joe, do you want to put the time lapse on so we can start to see that construction come together? So I'm sure this is going to jog a lot of memories and a lot of hard work. This took place from start to finish, from absolutely having nothing in hand to being sitting at this table doing the podcast 6 or 9 months, maybe.
December 21st was my first design.
Yeah.
So that's the only timestamp I have on it.
So there's a lot of hours that goes into the panels that are on this back wall. That is, it's plywood with homosote, which is a sound absorbing material, and then the fabric on top of that to kind of break up the monotony of a gray wall. But our other theater supervisor, Amber Pickens, and Natalie spent a lot of time covering these panels together. They cut them all down and got all the shapes cut into them. And then they're hung on the wall in a pretty simple fashion that's using a French cleat, which is just 2 angles that are, 2 like 30-degree angles cut out of the same piece so that they kind of slide together, which we could have purchased that, but we hate ourselves.
We're saving tax
so we
dollars.
decided we'd make it.
With some warped wood and everything, we accomplished what we were going for.
You can also see in there some of our public works employees, Zach and Josh. They did a lot of the heavy lifting of bringing stuff out of here, or moving electrical boxes, or getting the ceiling out, cutting pipes down that weren't used. This building used to be a bank, so there was a lot of stuff up there that wasn't in use anymore. Now it's starting to take shape. The first lighting comes up there. There we go.
And we found occasionally when we were hanging some of the panels, that's where the public works guys were so courteous to us, because we needed some stuff moved out of the way to make it work. But one of the other things you kind of see on the back wall, the wood shape that Ryan's got the LED tape wrapped around, we were talking about the depth to come off the wall for that design and really where that kind of fits in for the visual for the cameras, because you can walk into the room and we could have just pushed it straight up flat against the wall, but to give the room a little bit more dimension, and Natalie can probably speak to that a little bit more, maybe not.
Well, I think really what we didn't want was just it to look like there was a flat mural or something pasted on the wall. We really wanted it to be part of the space, like a piece of furniture, like that had really meant to be here, but also with it popping off of the wall. I mean, we spent many hours in Brian's office with Ryan, and we were just talking about how far we have it off the wall in order to bring in these lights. Oh, what a good idea. And then we would just build off of each other. And
there's a lot of math that goes into figuring that out. But overall with the design, the one thing that I think you'd kind of asked for, and for anybody that doesn't talk on microphones occasionally or never has to do public speaking, the second you put a camera in front of somebody or you put a microphone in front of their face, they get tense, they lock up, they forget to breathe, and then they get really long-winded. So we needed to make a space that when you walked into it was ultimately calming and inviting, and that's kind of where the LEDs that are around us come in when the big studio lights aren't on, that this kind of becomes a nice relaxing I think of it like a den that you would have for like a dog.
Yeah, we're trying to make it conducive to conversation, get people in here getting relaxed, hand them a cookie, hand them something to drink, cup of coffee.
I did not get a cookie.
Whatever. There will be cookies after the podcast.
Yeah, you made it smell like cookies in here.
It does. Yeah, it's all part of the part of the whole package here.
Talk faster, get a cookie at the end.
There you go.
Well, the other cool thing is that not only does it make them feel relaxed, it also makes them feel excited.
Sure.
And
caffeinated, if
caffeinated.
possible.
Well,
And
it's
sugar.
excited to be
Yeah.
excited to be a part of, doing their thing and
Yeah.
getting their message out. So.
Yeah. And this space is certainly here to make people feel comfortable and get talking, but it is to get out the message about everything that Florissant has to offer, the events that are happening, messages from the mayor's office, everything from every department, whether it's police department, public works, theater, community development. Everybody's welcome down here to share their message with our residents. So there we can see part of the finished product. That's a cool shot.
Looks like a laser tag arena.
So
Neon green.
let's go ahead and jump to something you see at the bottom there, and that is I always get it wrong, living edge or live edge?
Live
David?
edge slab.
Live edge. So Brian is a very experienced woodworker, and we were looking at some type of table like this online, and it was cost prohibitive. We decided
Dear God,
we
yes.
cannot spend that much money. It's just not a good use of taxpayers' money. But then Brian said, well, we build sets at the theater department. Why don't we go see if we bought the raw materials ourselves? And turns out it's, I don't know, a tenth of the cost.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's these tables retail anywhere from $8,000 up. There's a YouTube channel I watch, a guy that sells $50,000-$60,000
Yikes.
live edge tables.
Yeah, so this was a maple tree that we bought this slab and one for our lobby from Wonder Woods in St. Charles, and we had them just kind of get it mostly sanded, and then Brian did the bow ties, he did the stain, he did the finish on it, and then we bought the legs online, but we had, I don't know, what would you call that contraption we bought to secure the legs in?
The frame.
Yeah. I'm overthinking it.
The table skirt
Yeah.
the city of Florissant has a tremendous amount of talent within its employees, and not to toot our own horns, but certainly to talk about Ryan and Natalie. They're two of the most talented individuals that I've had the pleasure of working with. And I forget his name, was it Mark? And
Mark at the City Garage
Yeah.
offered to do the welding for us for that skirt down there for the legs, and it worked out really well. We made sure he had enough time to do it, and he did it on the job here, and it worked out great.
So the frame itself underneath this table is 1/4-inch angle iron, which between that and the legs, this table probably has a load rating of like 6 tons. But build it once and we never have to worry about it again. But again, it was all economic choices to make, because we could buy the steel, Mark could weld it, we could put the legs on. We had 2 streets guys who, I don't know how 2 of them did it by themselves, but carried this thing down here.
Yes. I'm sure using proper lifting techniques and equipment.
One can only hope.
One can only hope so. So we're basically working in a finished product now. We're still fine-tuning lights here and there. Ryan's been very helpful with that. But we're actively making podcasts here now. We're doing ones with the mayor's office about different festivals that are coming up. We hope to have the theater in here, possibly with some of the actors and actresses from your different groups that are coming through, talk about upcoming shows, and anything else that we can think of to utilize the space for. So we are finished. We are in a finished working product, and honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys for helping make this. This is like you said, a tremendous source of pride to see so many city employees help out, and then some help out a lot, and really just create something from nothing. It's amazing. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
I did all of it by myself with no help from any. I'm kidding. No, we appreciate your kind words, but yeah, no, this is a prime example of what can happen when we really put our talents together and
Love it.
a good collaborative environment. And I think we had fun
Oh, we had
yeah,
so
absolutely.
much fun.
to some extent.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes hard to do, to have fun with work.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I love this job. I really do. I love working with you guys, and it is just a joy. And getting to do this project, just stepping outside of the theater department and knowing that we're really going to help other people, at least in some way, was just really inspiring. So it was really fun to do.
I'm glad to hear that, because we have a couple more projects in mind that we'd love to get you guys in on. So those will be upcoming.
You get
Be
an extra
open.
cookie for saying that.
Oh, 2 cookies.
Yeah.
One for each hand, a balanced diet.
So unless you guys want to dig into anything else that you can see in the studio, I'd like to wrap it up and get you guys your cookies for coming in.
I think we
and,
do a deep dive into the software glitch that caused a issue with the lights not turning on after they got updated.
which was expeditiously fixed by Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked it out. He figured it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
He's real smart.
As things usually go, I caused that problem while in the process of solving a different one.
I broke it and I fixed it.
I fixed one problem and created another.
I want to give one more shout out to Amber for how much work
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
put in on
absolutely.
this.
Yeah,
I mean, she was behind the scenes with me. We were cutting this out, we were sanding, we were painting. I mean, everything that you see behind us was a full panel sheet of plywood
Yeah.
and nothing more.
Doesn't look like it now.
I know.
And I don't know how many thousands of staples that she has shot this
For the
fabric
sound
in
panels.
with.
Yeah, she's very good at upholstery.
I know her
now,
hand
so-
hurt when she was done.
Yes.
And when we had one more panel to make, it was like trying to herd cats to get her to to get her to do it.
Yeah, so big help from Amber. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, couldn't have done it without her.
Excellent. Well, this is going to be the most awkward ending to a podcast ever because I have nothing planned to end it. So we're done.
I think you just go to be you. Well, from the IT department again, thank you so much for being part of this and for helping make this a reality. And I'm really looking forward to the future of what we can do with this and help promote the city of Florissant. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Steve.
You're in charge now.
Master
Great job.
class
It's yours now.
in podcast endings.
All right, let's eat cookies.